All right, so last question is about your undergraduate career. What was the most beneficial thing you learned during your undergrad at Waterloo?
The most beneficial thing I learned um during my undergrad. I mean, there's so many things. And there are things that I learned post undergrad that I wish I spent more time on in undergrad too. So I feel like I'm just like really pick
Couple.
one. Yeah, I can speak to that second one first. I wish I cared more about school when I was in school. Like I think I did, get good enough grades to open up opportunities. Um, I guess I'm speaking like particular to the math classes and the finance classes. I sort of like, my approach to school was just, get the grades and like I'll let co-op educate me on like the things that I really want to learn. And, what you don't realize at the time is there are all these unknown unknowns that will emerge in the future. And these things that you could have learned in the past, or I guess for current students, you could be learning now. Even if you don't think it's valuable now, there's a really good chance it'll be valuable in the future. And there's a part of me that wishes I like focused a bit more on my stats classes and on my finance classes because, it may have opened other doors or opportunities that I don't have access to today, or at the very least, it could make me more effective in my job. Um, but in terms of things that I learned while I was in school, um, I think and I'll also come up with two things. Through my co-op experiences, I learned like how to be a professional in the working world, but like the real thing that I learned, through firsthand experience was the importance of attention to detail. I think, in the school world, because the things that we're learning are harder, there's more room to make mistakes. In the professional world, generally speaking, like, I actually found that conceptually things were a little bit easier than what you learn in school. But the trade-off there is, there's a really high bar for getting things done correctly. So I was someone who trusted myself through school to like be smart enough to figure out all the advanced concepts. And I would let myself make a lot of silly mistakes on exams, on assignments, etc. And I've had to learn through several co-op terms and even a little bit after graduating how to like really have attention to detail and avoid those kinds of silly mistakes because the working world is a little bit different than the academic world in that sense. And with respect to school, um, I think the finance concepts probably were the concepts that I found to be most interesting and informative. If you asked me a couple of years ago, I would have said the like strategy class because I was working in strategy consulting. But I think, you know, like the advanced corporate finance classes where you're thinking about how to value companies, and like the financial statements analysis classes where you're doing that too. Like those classes are a crystallization of like everything that you've learned in business coming together and being able to think about businesses and even like non-business enterprises through those lenses of like what are the cash flows coming in strategically, like what are the variables that are influenced by what I believe about this industry. It's those kinds of classes that where everything comes together. If you like really do a good job in focusing on those classes, you just you train yourself to think about businesses in a big picture way, and I think I learned a lot from that.